Welcome to Inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. And you can catch me on your home of the Dallas Cowboys, the Texas Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. Really appreciate you guys joining me here. It's our Game 5 preview. The Mavericks and the Suns getting it on tonight at Footprint Arena, out in Phoenix, Arizona. I would say the American Airlines Center, but that's Game 6 on Thursday. But again, appreciate you joining me right here on Inside the Mavs Live. Make sure you smashing that like button right here on Kevin Gray Sports and let your friends and your people know, hey, it's time for Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. You can become a member for just a few bucks a month by hitting that member button right here for Kevin Gray Sports. If you got a super chat, got a question, got a super sticker you want to throw in there, go ahead and drop that in there as well. We'll get your questions answered, get you guys taken care of right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Can Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks steal Game 5 and get back to Dallas on Thursday with an opportunity to win this series in 6 games? It's going to be a tall order tonight, obviously, in Phoenix, as the Dallas Mavericks, who have won the last 2 games of this series, have been really good on the defensive end, have been able to do some incredible shot making like we saw in Game 4, especially from the three-point line, hitting 23-pointers in their Game 4 win, much like they did 11 years ago on Mother's Day during the Mother's Day Massacre when they hit 23-pointers in that game to dispatch of the Los Angeles Lakers at the time. Obviously, for the Phoenix Suns, their backs are up against the wall now. A team that won 64 games during the regular season, was the best team in the clutch all season long in the NBA, have seen this Mavericks team climb back into this series and turn this series into a dogfight. It is now the best of 3 between these two teams, with obviously 2 of the final 3 games in Phoenix. But the Dallas Mavericks have proven now, not only can they beat the Phoenix Suns, but at times they can out-Phoenix Suns the Suns themselves when it comes to Chris Paul drawing fouls, being able to get into the referee's mind, if you will, about how some of these foul calls look like. The Mavericks have done a terrific job, and they will look to do so again tonight when they take on the Phoenix Suns. Tip-off is at 8:30 tonight when it comes to the Phoenix Suns. Let me make sure I got that right. I'm sorry, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. It's a late one. 8:30 is the game on Thursday. 9 o'clock tip-off time tonight inside the Footprint Center in Phoenix. Again, I want you to hit that like button, smash that like button right here. Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Got a lot to get into today, obviously. Not only is it our game preview, not only will we talk about keys to victory, but also what things will look like on both sides now that we know that we're going to 6 games, and we know that there's a guaranteed Game 6 even after tonight's game, obviously, with an opportunity for one of these 2 teams to close out things on Thursday. Again, just to reset where we are, the first 2 games of this series, the Phoenix Suns dominated. The Phoenix Suns were able to close, especially in game number 2, with a terrific stretch. Chris Paul scored or assisted on the first 19 points of the fourth quarter. Meanwhile, Devin Booker in games 1 and 2 was sensational. The shot making for the Phoenix Suns was absolutely incredible. You remember, coming into this series, they had shot, coming into games 3 and in games 4, they had shot over 50% in 8 consecutive games. They have not shot over 50% in the last 2 games. You remember what they did in game 2 from a shot making perspective. Shot 65% from the field, setting a franchise playoff record for field goal percentage in a playoff game. They have not been the same team since leaving Phoenix. They look to rekindle some of that magic with now NBA Coach of the Year officially Monty Williams, and what they'll look to do against the Dallas Mavericks. But give the Mavericks a lot of credit. They have turned this series into a dogfight. The scrappiness, the intensity on the defensive end. In the last 2 games alone, they've forced 34 turnovers, scoring 45 points off of those 34 turnovers. They've been able to bring a measure of physicality to Chris Paul with the defense of Reggie Bullock. And what we've talked about and noticed in games 3 and 4 was the defensive adjustment that Jason Kidd made by inserting Frank Ntilikina on the defensive end. His defense, his length, his ability to get into Devin Booker at times, Chris Paul, he has been a very, very good find for this team as far as these playoffs. He's played the Josh Green minutes. Josh Green really hasn't been seen much in this series since obviously game 2 And now Frank Ntilikina has turned into the Josh Green minutes, and he's done well in terms of his positive play on the defensive end, even hitting a key three-pointer at the end of the third quarter in Game 4 to stretch the lead from 6 back to 9, which was huge entering into the fourth quarter. So even a little bit of an offense that you get from a Frank Ntilikina is a bonus when it comes to his play on the floor. Appreciate you smashing that like button right here on Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Again, my name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you give me a follow there. You can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports, and of course on 105.3 The Fan. Christopher Jones in our YouTube chat room. I told you that the Mavs would win if Luka played better team ball instead of Luka ball. That's a great point. We saw that in games 3 and 4. In game 3, the Mavericks had 5 guys in double figures. And in game 4, they had 6 guys in double figures, including Davis Bertans, who even came to the party in game 4, hitting 4 first-half three-pointers, hitting his first 4 three-pointers of that first half. Spencer Dinwiddie, who had 10 points in the second quarter, at one point having 8 straight points in that second quarter in game 4. Other guys came to the party and, more importantly, were knocking down shots when they had the opportunities to do so. Dorian Finney-Smith, 24 points, a career playoff high for him on 8 three-pointers. He's going to continue to get wide open looks, and what he's going to be able to do with those looks is up to him and being able to knock those down when he has the opportunities to. But Maxi Kleber, Reggie Bullock, and Dorian Finney-Smith have to continue to stretch the floor from the three-point line. We know that the Mavericks like to play that 5-out offense, spread everyone out, have a bunch of shooters on the floor, and let guys like Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie create to be able to make plays for themselves and for teammates and to find shooters. And we know how devastating Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith specifically are when they come to their corner threes. If they can continue to do that and continue to put pressure on Phoenix to force them to guard them, that's going to be that much better for the Dallas Mavericks when it comes to their ability to execute on the offensive end. So, look, the Phoenix Suns are a team of precision, execution. This team is a very well-oiled machine on the offensive end. How you're able to physically get into imposing your will on them, as we've seen in the last couple of games, is going to be huge to be able to do that in game number 5 tonight. And most importantly, when you start thinking about the starts for this team, the Phoenix Suns have blitzed the Dallas Mavericks in the first 2 games. You remember the 22-7 lead they got out to in the first 7 minutes of game number 1. They jumped out to a 12-2 lead in game 2 in the first few minutes of game 2. The Mavericks were the ones in games 3 and 4, though, that punched the Phoenix Suns in the mouth. They will have to do the same going into game number 5 tonight. From Harold Victor, Spencer Dinwiddie hasn't played well in this series yet. I would say not played well in this series consistently. I thought the second quarter that he had in game 4 was the best quarter that he's had so far in this series. Again, he scored 10 points in that second quarter, had 8 straight points at one point, had a couple of assists in that quarter as well. That was the best stretch of Spencer Dinwiddie basketball I think we've seen so far in the playoffs, and it came in his most recent game. He'll need to build on that going into game 5 and into the rest of the series as it goes on. Again, this is Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you're smashing that like button right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. From Jonathan Duncan, Brunson needs to show up big time. I agree. Jalen Brunson, who was really good and has been really good in games 3 and 4, aggressively attacking the paint. Jason Kidd talks about it all the time with this team. If we can get into the paint, attack the paint relentlessly, good things happen for us. And that you saw in games 3 and 4. Going into game 3, or after game 3, I should say, Jalen Brunson had more drives going to the basket than he did combined in games 1 and 2. He continued that pace in game 4, and his ability to remain efficient is going to be key for this Mavericks team to be able to execute offensively. And you saw it in game 4. Jalen Brunson's confidence is growing. He was putting Mikal Bridges, he was putting Chris Paul into the post. He was able to do some things from a physicality standpoint because, look, he's a little fire hydrant of a point guard. He's strong, he's physical, and he can finish at the rim. Those are the things that he's capable of, and he can do so. The length of the Phoenix Suns in the first couple of games, you could tell, bothered him as he was adjusting to what they were trying to do to him defensively. He made those adjustments in games 3 and 4. He'll look to continue to do that tonight, obviously, in game 5. From Ali Rahman here, what can we do if the threes aren't falling? Defend your tail off, because you've got to find a way, even when shots aren't falling. Let's look at an example. In game 4, In the third quarter, the Mavericks were abysmal from the field. They couldn't get a bucket to go. Luka Doncic was taking a bunch of bad step-back three-pointers, and they could not get shots to fall. They only scored 19 points in that third quarter in Game 4. But guess what they did? They held the Phoenix Suns to only 22 points in the third quarter. So when shots are falling, you can defend, and they defended their tail off to maintain their lead, only getting outscored by 3 in that crucial third quarter where both teams went cold. And that was because of the defense of the Dallas Mavericks and their ability to stay locked in on that end of the floor, even when shots are falling. So that's the answer to that question. If shots aren't falling, if threes aren't falling, defend your tail off, because that will keep you in games in this series. And the Mavericks have proven in the last 2 games that they are capable of doing so. Again, make sure you're smashing that like button right here inside the Mavs Live, our Game 5 preview right here on Kevin Gray Sports. For Mr. Wilkins here in our YouTube chat room, Mavs have to stay consistent with keeping Paul out of the game. You saw that obviously in Game 4, getting Chris Paul in the foul trouble. He fouled out with 6 fouls and only 5 points in game number 4. The Mavericks will have to do that. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. Obviously, that home crowd is going to keep them in it. And I think Monty Williams recognizes the moment and trying to ensure that he's putting his point guard in the best position to succeed. And Chris Paul is a smart player. There's a reason why he's one of the top 5, one of the top 10 point guards in the history of this league. He will be able to make adjustments going into this game, be able to continue to get into the mid-range where we know how devastating he is, and be able to make things happen for he and his teammates. And other guys around him I expect to be much better in Game 5. Mikal Bridges, I expect to be much better. Obviously, Devin Booker and what he's capable of doing, you expect these guys at home to be much better going into game number 5. From Harold Victor, Suns beat teams with points in the paint. Games 3 and 4, outscore them in the paint. That's the key to winning tonight. I expect the Phoenix Suns to get back to trying getting DeAndre Ayton the basketball. They've kind of went away from him in the last couple of games, and I think some of that has to do with not necessarily that he's getting in foul trouble, but the way that the Mavericks play, especially on the offensive end. You really can't play DeAndre Ayton if he's pulled away from the basket and not able to defend the paint, where the Mavericks are able to drive and finish. If Maxi Kleber and others are able to hit shots from the outside, whether it be Kleber, Davis Bertans, they're pulling DeAndre Ayton away from the basket, much like how they did against the Utah Jazz by pulling Rudy Gobert out of the paint when they had the opportunity to do so, when they were knocking down shots. So you don't necessarily have to worry about that. So if DeAndre Ayton's being played away from the basket, he's really rendered ineffective on the defensive end, which I think has an effect on him on the offensive end, getting into the kind of rhythm that he's accustomed to. Now, when he's had his opportunities, he's been efficient, 7 of 12, 6 of 13, those kinds of numbers. Those are the things that he's capable of doing, but I don't think he's been in the same kind of rhythm early on in games, and then defensively being kind of a fish out of water, where he's okay on the perimeter, but not nearly as good as a guy like Rudy Gobert, who's able to handle his business when it comes to that. Let's see. From Butter here in our YouTube chat room, who are the referees for tonight's game? Well, I have that for you right here, actually, when you look at the referee assignments going into game number 5. You've got David Guthrie, Sean Wright, and Tom Washington. So no Tony Brothers, no Scott Foster as your referee assignments. Now, what's interesting is David Guthrie worked games 2 and 6 of the Utah series. And if you remember what happened in the Utah series, the Mavericks won games 2 and 6. And then Tom Washington has not been seen in the playoffs so far. And Sean Wright worked game 6 of the Utah series as well. So a good omen if you're looking at the referee assignments. The Mavericks have had success with David Guthrie and Sean Wright so far in the playoffs. Sean Wright and Guthrie were in game 6. And then, of course, looks like Guthrie was in game 2 as well of the Utah series. So there you go. No Scott Foster, no Tony Brothers. Those are your referee assignments that you were wanting to know as far as tonight's game is concerned. Again, it's Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you're smashing that like button. If you're in the YouTube chat room, you can become a member for just a few bucks a month by subscribing here to Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Also, if you got a super chat you want to throw in there, if you got a question or you got a comment that you want to have make sure read at the top, throw that in there, and a super sticker can also help out with that as well. From Jonathan Duncan here in our YouTube chat room, Jason Kidd is the key to the Mavericks pulling out a big win tonight. Look, give Jason Kidd a lot of credit. I thought he outcoached Quinn Snyder in the first series. He's held his own and went toe-to-toe with the NBA Coach of the Year Monty Williams, I thought Jason Kidd got a little disrespected in the Coach of the Year voting, but nonetheless, he has been fantastic in this series so far, and it has clearly held his own with Monty Williams. I think the best adjustment of this series so far between the two teams was made by Jason Kidd, inserting Frank Ntilikina, the little used Frank Ntilikina earlier on in the playoffs, and the defensive adjustment that he's made so far has really helped this team throughout the course of the last two games of this series. Again, make sure you smash that like button if you're in the YouTube chat room right here on Inside the Mavs Live here on Kevin Gray Sports. From Ali, let's see, should the Mavs try to run or slow it down? Pick and choose your opportunities to get out in transition. We've seen this team be able to force, as we mentioned, 34 turnovers in the last couple of games, scoring 45 points off of those turnovers. Take your chances in the fast break when you have the opportunities to, but the Mavericks are going to play at their own pace. Luka Doncic is going to play that slow, plodding pace to be able to limit possessions for the Phoenix Suns, be able to execute offensively. But what the Dallas Mavericks have to do is, if you're going to play that slow, you have to be efficient in your shot making. You've got to make the most out of those possessions, whether it be on drives to finish at the rim or knocking down shots from the outside. Because if you're going to run down possessions, if you're going to run down the shot clock to, inside of 10 seconds, you eventually have to execute on the offensive end to make those possessions worthwhile. Otherwise, if you hold the ball that long and are not able to finish off possessions, it really doesn't mean that much, especially if you're Phoenix and you're able to get some rhythm on the offensive end. From Shad, I agree. Jason Kidd should have been considered for Coach of the Year. Yeah, definitely agree. He won 52 games this year, was one of the best coaches in the NBA. Monty Williams was my Coach of the Year when it came to who I thought would win. Look, he won 64 games, set a franchise record for wins, 8 games clear. I thought he should have won it last year as well, but give Monty Williams a lot of credit, deserving to win Coach of the Year. I thought Taylor Jenkins also from Memphis got serious consideration as well. Eric Spoelstra out in Miami. So really, look, this year's Coach of the Year contest vote was hotly contested. A bunch of coaches who had really terrific years. I think Monty Williams definitely deserved it based on the year that he was having. Exactly. From Frosty Nugs 41, I thought he was disrespected. Why so much love to Boston's coach? Boston had a hell of a second half. Let's not get it twisted. Boston was terrific in the second half, and then obviously they were able to carry it over, especially in the first round of the playoffs by sweeping the Brooklyn Nets out of the playoffs. Ime Udoka has been terrific as the head coach for the Boston Celtics, one of the best second halves of the year. Really, in that when you look at the best second halves of the year, it was Phoenix, Dallas, and Boston that had the best second halves of the year in the NBA. Ime Udoka, I thought, was definitely for some serious consideration as well, given what they were able to do in the second half of the year. From Shad, we live and die by the three. It's sometimes scary to watch games. Look, I agree with you. Make sure you smash that like button as well right here on Inside the Mavs Live here on Kevin Gray Sports. Again, my name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports. We've talked about this a lot when it comes to this team this year. When this team is good and they're knocking down three-pointers, it is very difficult to beat them. You saw a perfect example of that in this series already in Game 4. They hit 23 pointers in Game 4, and a barrage of them came in the first half. They went 14 of 24 from the three-point line in the first half alone. That just gives you an idea that when this team and when they're on knocking down shots, they are really, really good, and they have an opportunity to win a lot of basketball games when it comes to the, what they do offensively. I'm just saying, Frosty Nugs, I'm just saying Boston was really good in the second half. I thought Ime Udoka, Jason Kidd, I thought all of them should have got much more consideration than what they actually did. But again, Monty Williams was by far the NBA Coach of the Year. In my mind, Taylor Jenkins also in that particular conversation as well. So let's get into it. Obviously, keys to the game. Obviously, we'll get into not only predictions, keys to the game, things to watch for tonight. This is what we're going to get into. Let me know. Give me some keys to victory that you're feeling like will have to happen tonight for the Mavericks to win. Montreal, appreciate you joining here on our Inside the Mavs Live YouTube chat room. Let's go Mavs from Jonathan Duncan. I see the series going 7 games. What about you? I said coming into this series, I did pick the Suns to win in 7 games. I thought the Suns had the better team with the better lineup, with a deeper bench. That still could play out to be true. Obviously, we're going at minimum 6 games here. This thing could go the full 7. I do think we do go the full 7 games, regardless of what happens tonight. And what we'll see going into games 5 and 6, that will obviously determine what we feel like Game 7 will look like. But yes, my initial prediction was the Suns in 7. The Mavericks have proven to me in this series that if they win this series, I will not be surprised. That is what they've shown me, obviously, in Games 3 and 4. The grit, the fight, the toughness that they showed in Game 3. It's very easy. They could have laid down in Game 3. They could have easily rolled over after what happened in Games 1 and 2, especially getting demoralized in the fourth quarter of Game 2. But they came out with a relentlessness, a fight, and a grit that gave them an opportunity to be able to win in Games 3 and 4, and they were able to do so. From RAQ Savage, Vocal Dinosaur, let's go Mavs. A lot of Mavs fans jumping in the YouTube chat room. Make sure you're smashing that like button while you're here. This is Inside the Mavs live here on Kevin Gray Sports. Again, my name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Give me a follow on all social media platforms there and hit the like button while you're here as well. From Harold Victor, Luka and Jalen Brunson will combine for 60 points. I mean, that'd be nice. That's a great way to get into our keys to victory for game number 5. Multiple guys have to come with Luka Doncic. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. 5 guys in double figures in game 3. 6 guys in double figures in game 4. Multiple guys have got to come with Luka Doncic to create the kind of balance. There's that word again we've been talking about throughout this postseason for this team, especially in this series, balance. Can other guys come with Luka Doncic, provide a balanced offensive attack, knocking down shots while mixing their drives to the paint to be able to put pressure on Phoenix to have to respond on the offensive end themselves? That, to me, is what has been key in the last 2 games, is that multiple guys, whether it be Dorian Finney-Smith, a career playoff high, 24 points, Reggie Bullock in double figures in the last couple of games, obviously what Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans did in game 4. You need multiple guys to be able to come with you in this game if you're Luka Doncic. From Frosty Nugs 41 in our Mavs YouTube chat room here. Don't be fazed by the fans and realize Cam Payne is not better than Brunson and Spence. I agree with you. Cam Payne hasn't been necessarily great so far in these playoffs. Had a couple of moments, but not necessarily anything that gets you scared. And that's another great point in terms of keys to victory. Take this crowd out of it as early as you can. You saw what happened in games 1 and 2 in Phoenix. The Phoenix Suns came out and punched them in the mouth. 22-7 run to start off game 1. 12-2 run to start off game 2. You've got to find a way to take this crowd out early. They will be rallying in the valley tonight, as they like to say, in Phoenix, and that crowd will look to help spur on what the Phoenix Suns are trying to do. And here's another key portion of that. When it comes to foul calls in this game, don't be scared of how fans are reacting to foul calls. They're going to be into it. They're going to be loud. They're going to be trying to influence the referees based on what's happening on the floor. Every little push, every little grab, every little this, every little that will get a reaction from that home crowd tonight in Phoenix. So when you see foul calls being made, there are going to be opportunities where this crowd will try to influence the referees based on what they're seeing on the floor and trying to get referees to make calls based on their reactions. Don't worry about that. I think this officiating crew will be able to be on top of it. You saw it in game 4 a little bit. They were not fooled by the antics of Chris Paul. At one point, tried to draw an offensive foul on Jalen Brunson. They weren't having it, and they were able to make sure they made the right call. So, look, just be aware of that when this crowd tries to influence the Phoenix Suns, or excuse me, the officiating crew, influence the officiating crew tonight in the game. Let's see. From Shad, lockdown CP3. These last 2 games show that if CP3 doesn't show up, then we win Devin Booker and score all he wants. We just can't give up someone else scoring 20 points. Yeah, because in the first couple of games, and throughout the course of this series, actually, Jay Crowder has been fantastic. He shot over 52% from the three-point line so far in this series. That, to me, is what bends things for the Phoenix Suns. When guys like Jay Crowder are hitting shots, Cam Johnson coming off the bench, knocking down three-pointers. At one point early in the series, went 6 of 10, from the field. He can knock down three-pointers as well. When the other guys start to get involved, that's where things start to flip for the Phoenix Suns. You know what you're going to get for the most part on most nights when it comes to Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and in most cases, DeAndre Ayton. It's the other guys, the Bridges of the world, the Crowders of the world, the Cam Johnsons of the world, who are capable of knocking down outside shots. Those are the guys that you've got to make sure aren't getting off in games like this, especially at home. We all know the old adage is guys play better when they're at home, especially role players. That goes for the same for Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, and others. They have to be able to ensure that they are containing those guys tonight. From Michael Mason, do we know if Scott Foster is or is not referee? No, Scott Foster not part of the festivities tonight, but the referee assignments, David Guthrie, Sean Wright, Tom Washington. David Guthrie and also Sean Wright were part of Game 6 in the closeout game in Utah when the Mavericks were able to win that game. So yeah, no Scott Foster tonight. From Jonathan Duncan, why is Devin Booker so arrogant? He hasn't won anything. Hey man, young dude, got a lot of game. He got that Kobe-like mentality. He believes that he can win anytime he steps on the floor. And you kind of like that from a guy who is as good of a scorer as Devin Booker is. But Mavericks fans not necessarily feeling Devin Booker. Look, people keep, telling me about the whole viral moment between him and Chris Paul when they looked at each other when they were asked a question about Luka, and now they've gone 0-2 since that moment. You could take that for what it is, but hey, it is what it is. Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you're smashing that like button here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Really appreciate that. Find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. From Dolan CD, Kevin, my man, great to see you tonight. Oh, it's 4 a.m. in Slovenia. We'll be lit. Can't wait. I may well be at that. Tonight's winner will win the championship. I expect nothing but a great game. Appreciate that. It's going to be 4 a.m. in Slovenia. Really appreciate you joining me here as we get you ready for Game 5 tonight. Hopefully, you'll be able to be rewarded for staying up super late when it comes to the game tonight at 4 a.m. back in Slovenia. Look, I want to say real quick, really appreciate everyone who, Slovenia, all around the world who watch these videos. Really appreciate the support. Make sure that you smash that like button. Tell your friends and the family to come in and watch Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Let's see here. Think about it, Ministries. I thought when this started, all we needed was 4 games of good shooting. The question was if they could survive long enough to play those 4 games. Look, we'll see. The Mavericks have shot the ball well, especially in games 3 and 4, especially in the first half where they made 14 3-pointers. They've got to be able to knock down shots, obviously, going into Game 5 tonight. How's the team's mood? Team's mood is great. Was at practice yesterday. This is a loose group, and honestly, a group that plays loose all season, but they were going through competitive 3-point shooting drills, all kinds of competitive team stuff. This is a very loose group and a team that's very confident in their abilities. And I think one thing when I spoke to Maxi Kleber yesterday, he said, look, we had a real conversation after Game 2 about what we needed to do defensively going into Games 3 and 4. We were able to execute our game plan and be able to be the kind of team that we know we can be defensively. And we proved that again in Games 3 and 4, which is extremely important given what did not happen in Games 1 and 2 was that they were not able to execute anything defensively. I think they were overwhelmed, especially in Game 1, by the atmosphere, the moment. For as young as this team is when it comes to playoff experience, they show that in the first couple of games, getting blitzed in Games 1 and 2. I think they will be much more prepared, and I think that's another key to victory for tonight's game is being able to handle the energy of the crowd, but more importantly, staying poised in the moment. This team, you could tell, was a deer in the headlights in Games 1 and 2 when Phoenix tried to sheerly overwhelm them with their offensive firepower. And especially in Game 1, they were able to do so. They did so more in the fourth quarter, obviously in Game 2. But this Mavs team will be much more prepared for the moment when it comes to handling that atmosphere tonight in Game 5 at Phoenix. They should not be scared of the moment. They should be much more well prepared for how the atmosphere will feel when it comes to dealing with the Phoenix Suns in that environment. This is Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Make sure you're smashing that like button if you're inside the Mavs YouTube chat room right here on Kevin Gray Sports. How can Luka Doncic and company steal a win tonight in game number 5 of this game in the playoffs? We really appreciate you joining us right here on Inside the Mavs Live. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. From Ali, compared to Utah's arena, how hard is it to play in Phoenix? I say Utah is much louder because they're much more on top of you in Utah than it is in Phoenix. Phoenix is a little bit more spread out, but in Utah, think about Duke, Cameron Indoor Stadium. You know how fans are really on top of you inside that building? It's much like that in Utah when it comes to the atmosphere and the way that arena is set up. They're really right on top of you, right on there. Hey, is Locked On Mavericks joining us here inside the Mavs YouTube chat room here on Kevin Gray Sports. I don't know if that's either Isaac or Nick, but either way, thanks to Locked On Mavericks for joining us here Inside the Mavs Live here in our YouTube chat room as well. Those guys do an amazing job, have been on their show many, many times, and you know that they are terrific at what they do as far as Locked On Mavs for all things Mavericks. So appreciate that, whether it's Isaac or Nick. Appreciate you joining us here Inside the Mavs Live. I want to get your guys' predictions to what you guys think is going to happen tonight in game number 5 of this series. Make sure you smash that like button here on Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Let's see here. From Wow M. Tim, let's see here. The key to tonight is to take care of the ball, less than 8 turnovers tonight, and I like our chances. Yeah, that's one thing that they've done so far in this series, I thought, especially in the last couple of games, protecting the basketball. They have valued the basketball, and locked them. Wow, say more nice things. I love you guys. Nick, you know how much I love you. Isaac, you know how much I love you. I sit next to Nick every single game, every single home game at the AAC, and we just constantly talk. I probably bother him too much while he's trying to concentrate, watching the games. But hey, he obliges me when we talk all things Mavericks basketball at the games. But yeah, they got to value the basketball. Being able to protect the basketball, more importantly, continue to turn the Phoenix Suns over has been important in this series. We mentioned it earlier. 45 points off of 34 turnovers in the last couple of games has been really key to what the Mavericks will be able to do defensively against the Phoenix Suns and what they've done so far. Let's see, for Christopher Jones, Luka is like Jordan regarding learning how to use his team more instead of trying to do it all himself. That's a great point. These guys have to learn, these superstars have to learn from, very early on, especially their playoff lives, their playoff basketball lives, if you will. Jordan had to learn that, had to learn how to trust his guys and to be able to put them in positions to succeed, whether it was John Paxson hitting him for an open 3, Steve Kerr for an open jumper, to help seal a championship. Like all of these guys, these superstars have to have those coming of age moments where they learn how to win with their other guys around them. LeBron James, all the greats, Kobe Bryant, all these guys who have won championships and have been superstars in this league, who have won multiple championships, have to learn how to trust their guys. Luka Doncic, again, Luka's only 23. The fact that he is at this point where he's going to be a first-team All-NBA selection for the 3rd year in a row, having this team now moving deeper into the playoffs, just gives you an idea of where he's going in terms of his career path going forward for the rest of his career. He is going to be in a position where he continues to grow, and that, to me, is a coming-of-age series. This series is one of those coming-of-age series where, look, regardless of what happens, whether the Mavericks win this series or whether they lose, that Luka Doncic is on the right path toward greatness when it comes to championship success in the future, at least in my humble opinion. From Jonathan Duncan in our YouTube chat room, I predict this is the big game from Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, you hope, right? I've been waiting on that Spencer Dinwiddie game, that game where he gets, 18 to 20 is really to help carry that second unit. We saw flashes of it in game 4 in the second quarter, had 10 points in that second quarter, including 8 straight at one point. That's the guy who I've been saying needs to be an X factor. But look, all the other people who have come forward in this series, especially in the last couple of games, Davis Bertans, Frank Ntilikina on the defensive end. Jason Kidd said this, look, it's going to take a team effort to beat this team. You're not going to beat the Phoenix Suns with just 1 or 2 guys. It has to be a collective effort for this team to be able to win in this series. And you've seen that so far, at least in the last 2 games of this series. Again, appreciate you smashing that like button right here on Kevin Gray Sports Inside the Mavs Live, our Mavs Suns Game 5 previews. Get Luka Doncic to come steal Game 5 on the road tonight. A lot of great feedback here in our Mavs YouTube chat room. Instead of basketball comparisons, I compare Luka to a Tom Brady. He could see the game and great decision-making. If he can have the kind of success that Tom Brady's had, Luka Doncic will be one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time, if he has that kind of success the way that Tom Brady has. Appreciate you again smashing that like button here on Inside the Mavs Live. Let's see, from Jackie Flash. Did you steal that from that AT&T commercial, that Jackie Flash line? Just asking. We need all our role players to have their built bars tonight. Are you advertising? I think that's Locked On Mavs advertising. Are you trying to advertise? That's a good question, though. Let's see. For John Ockel, let's see, JHONQUEL, foul trouble. Mavs need to avoid foul trouble. Make shots to avoid weird calls on 50-50 favoring the Suns. Yeah, loose balls, got to get after loose balls, winning the 50-50 balls, all the things that Luka Doncic has done with this team, everyone that's done, honestly. I thought that was a really cool moment in this series where Dorian Finney-Smith talked about, said, look, seeing Luka Doncic dive on the floor, getting after loose balls, trying to collect 50-50 balls like the rest of us is something that we all feed off of going into, the rest of these series when it comes to the playing against the Phoenix Suns. Let's see. Oh, from Frosty next forum. Oh, it's Nick. Oh, so Nick is the one wanting me to say nice things. Of course it is. Wants to say all nice things. Let's see. Kevin, thanks for all the love. Appreciate you. Let's see. Let me go back for just a quick second here. From the first two games, we heard from Mavs guys that it was hard to communicate due to the loud fans. Can you elaborate on that? Yeah, I mean, it's very simple. When you're trying to communicate defensive sets and rotations, calling out for help from guys, on the defensive side, it's very difficult to do that in a loud building. And much like Utah, it's very loud in Phoenix. It's very difficult to hear. And Max Akliba talked about that in terms of the lack of communication and the breakdowns that they had. And part of that was due to the noise inside the building. I think they will be much better equipped to be able to handle that going into Game 5 tonight. So we'll see how they handle that when it comes to the atmosphere. Make sure you're smashing that like button here on Kevin Gray Sports. It's Inside the Mavs Live, getting a lot of great feedback, a lot of great questions. If you got a super chat you want to throw in there, you can also become a member of the Gray Area Club for just a few bucks a month if you want to. Really appreciate that if you want to support Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube when it comes to all this good Mavs coverage we're trying to give you right here on Kevin Gray Sports here Inside the Mavs Live. Let's see here from DJ Jax or DJax 840, excuse me. Hey, Kevin, do you think Tim could make an appearance in the playoffs if we make it to the next round or maybe even the finals? Do you think he would fit in the rotations and defensive schemes? I know a lot of people have been asking about Tim Hardaway Jr. and his availability as they get deeper and deeper into the playoffs potentially. You're not going to see Tim Hardaway Jr. in the playoffs. He's doing basketball activities. We see him shooting pregame. We see him shooting and doing things in practice. He's starting to get to the point where he's starting to do more and more basketball activities from a running standpoint and all those things that you would want to look for. Unfortunately, we're not going to see him from during the course of these playoffs. If the Mavericks make it to the finals, even if they made it there, you wouldn't necessarily see him. He's still several weeks away from being able to be in shape to be able to play the kind of basketball that you're wanting him to, and to be into shape to be able to play in these playoffs. So unfortunately, great question, but unfortunately, no, we won't see Tim Hardaway Jr. In these playoffs, no matter how deep the Mavericks make it in these playoffs. Let's see. From Ali Rockman, did you see Bobby and Adam Sandler trailer? No, did not see that. Apparently, I'll have to do some research on that and to see that when I have an opportunity to. From Cody Barker, we need to keep Frank in over Josh. Yeah, that's a done deal. Frank Ntilikina has the Josh Green minutes, I think, for the rest of the series. And it's, by the way, he's been successful on the defensive end. He's even hit a big shot, as we mentioned, at the end of the third quarter in Game 4. He's got Josh Green's minutes for the rest of the series. I don't think you have to necessarily worry about that when it comes to what he's doing as far as being in the rotation for the rest of this series. Again, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you're smashing that like button here Inside the Mavs Live. Our Mavericks Suns Game 5 preview. Can Luka Doncic come to steal Game 5 on the road tonight? Give me your other keys to victory and some of your predictions here as we get you closer to Game 5 tonight. Tip off at 9 p.m. Central Time here in the U.S. as the Dallas Mavericks take on the Phoenix Suns out in Phoenix tonight. Let's see. Power Man Tim Hardaway should not play at all unless we're down 0-3 and 5. But he's not going to play at all. Again, love the fact that people want to continue to see Tim Hardaway Jr. on the floor. Yeah, he's not going to play in the playoffs. So, again, he's dealing with that Jones fracture. He's working out, getting better into shape. Basketball activities ramping up for him. Unfortunately, you won't see him in these playoffs. Again, make sure you're smashing that like button right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on this video Inside the Mavs Live here on Kevin Gray Sports. Already had an appearance from Locked On Mavs. Nick Ainstat, my man, hopping in the Mavs YouTube chat room. Keys for tonight as we look at this game, spinning it forward for Game 5 tonight. 1, be able to withstand the punch that the Phoenix Suns are going to throw at you. They're going to come out hot. They're going to come out angry for one. especially based on all the extracurricular unfortunate activities that happened with Chris Paul and his family in game number 4. I expect the Phoenix Suns to try and blitz the Dallas Mavericks, much like they did in games 1 and 2, try to overwhelm them. The key for the Mavericks in the first 5 to 7 minutes of game 5, withstand the run that the Phoenix Suns are going to make at the outset of this game. Chris Paul, Devin Booker are going to try and impose their will on the Dallas Mavericks in the first 5 to 7 minutes of this game to set a tone that, much like games 1 and 2, we are here to put the gas pedal down and smash it all the way through and try to overwhelm this team in the first quarter. That's going to be, to me, huge when you start looking at the first quarter of this particular game. Let's see. THJ is the man. Was there a single game he hasn't been on the sidelines shouting and supporting his teammates? I came to the Mavs because Luka. I'm staying because of Tim, Kleba, Brunson, and Dodo. That's a great point, man. I told you I was at practice yesterday, and Theo Pinson is a riot. Theo Pinson, that sideline, you've already seen him get fined earlier this playoffs, $25,000 for, violating rules of decorum on the sideline. These guys are all up and down, talking trash. This team really loves, it's not a cliche when I say these guys love each other. They want to play for each other and play for one another. That's really true when it comes to this group. And I think that's what gives a lot of Mavericks fans a lot of confidence that no matter what they're dealing with and going through, they'll continue to stay together. Jalen Brunson likes to talk about that all the time, that we stay together and love to play for one another when it comes to our team. Let's see, from Radical 350, does CP3 seem to disappear in big moments, not mentally tough? It's so weird, man. The stat that everyone has been pointing to is that he's 0-4 lifetime when going up 2-0 in a series. Chris Paul is one of the most mentally tough players that you'll ever see. You don't get to have the kind of career that Chris Paul has had without being mentally tough and being able to withstand all the things. He's small in stature, but he's a floor general, a leader. Yes, you may not like some of his antics at the time, but trust me, if Chris Paul was on your team, you would love all the things that Chris Paul does. He is that good and has been that good for a long time in this league. It's just he's been in some unfortunate situations. Most recently, obviously last year, the adjustment that the Milwaukee Bucks made, getting Giannis Antetokounmpo being a playmaker, not just getting downhill and making things happen for himself, but he was making things happen for his other teammates. I thought that changed the whole trajectory of that series a year ago. Let's see. From Ali Rockmine. What can Frank Ntilikina bring? We've talked about it. Defensive energy, length, presence, quickness, bothering Devin George, bothering Chris Paul. If he hits the occasional, 2 or 3 3-pointers in this game, all that's gravy and bonus from Frank Ntilikina. But what he can bring defensively is what the Mavericks need from him going into Game 5 tonight. It's Inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Our Mavericks Suns Game 5 preview. Can Luka Doncic company steal Game 5? Make sure you're smashing that like button if you're inside our Mavs YouTube chat room right here on Kevin Gray Sports. If you've got a super chat, super sticker you want to throw in support, you can become a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month. Really appreciate it if you decided to do that and supporting the content here on Kevin Gray Sports. From Jackie Flash. You didn't answer my question. Did you steal that from AT&T? Let me know if you did or not. Let's see here. Key number 1, be physical. In the Avery Johnson voice. Don't expect calls to go your way. Get back on defense. 3, withstand the storm. Wear down Chris Paul, 94 feet, second chance points, and turnovers. All great suggestions and all great points there. Love the fact that you put in number 2 there. Don't expect calls to go your way. Got to play through fouls. You got to play through non-calls. Got to play through the whistle and be able to finish when you have the opportunities to. If you don't have calls go your way, don't complain. Spencer Dinwiddie, Luka Doncic, Davis Bertans, don't complain. Get back on to what you need to do on the defensive end if you have the opportunities to do so. Let's see here. From Jonathan Duncan, Kevin, I'll be at the game tonight. Oh, okay, you'll be at the game. 121-112 Mavs. Oh, a high-scoring game you predicted for Jonathan Duncan tonight, who's going to be in the building in Phoenix. Let's see, from Christian here. Suns over for real. Okay. Again, appreciate you joining us here on Inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you smash that like button. Tell everyone to come on in here. We're talking Mavs basketball right here as we get you ready for Game 5 tonight in Phoenix as the Dallas Mavericks look to steal Game 5 tonight when it comes to their best-of-7 series against the Phoenix Suns. Look, this has been a fun series so far, a tale of 2 series, if you will. First couple of games, Phoenix dominated. It looked like they were going to run away with this thing. I didn't think we would be having this conversation with them being tied at 2-2 with the Mavericks and the Suns, but yet here we are when it comes to what they're doing in this series. From Spoon Production, let's see here. Appreciate you joining us here in our Mavs YouTube chat room. Mix the inside game and three-point shooting should look good for the Mavs. Look, when we're talking about the inside game from them, it's about driving into the paint, finishing at the rim, spreading things out, and then knocking down open shots when you have the opportunities to do so. When this team is good, they're hitting threes, but more importantly, they're finishing through contact in the paint with Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, Luka Doncic, who has proven throughout the course of this series that when he gets into the block, decides to put Chris Paul, decides to put Mikal Bridges into the post, which is something I've called for the Mavericks to do a little bit more in this series, given the physical domination that Luka Doncic can present to Mikal Bridges, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and others. Be able to put him into the paint, let him make some plays out of the post, because guys are going to be able to have the attention on Luka Doncic. Guys are going to be sitting there wide open when they have the opportunities to do so. Let's see, from Christian, who do you think is going to win Game 5 between the Bucks and the Celtics? Hey, man, give the Celtics a lot of credit for the way that they played. Al Horford was terrific in their last game for them, but I still think the Bucks wind up winning that series. Let's see, from Radical 350, did the NBA review Jay Crowder throwing Luka to the ground? Should have been at least a flagrant one. No, they did not. That's not necessarily something they reviewed. Didn't happen. Unfortunately, got to move on. But I understand the point because it definitely was. And again, it was weird because watching the game, I don't remember that happening live, but then seeing the replay of it, yeah, it definitely looked like it could have been a foul, a flagrant one of some sort on Jay Crowder. Again, Inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you smash that like button. I saw almost 100 people. I think I did see over 100 people watching. Let's get that over 100 and more. Tell people to come on in Inside the Mavs live. Give your prediction. Give me what you think is going to happen tonight in Game 5 of the Western Conference semifinals between the Mavericks and the Suns. Let's see here. Another great talking point is obvious the Mavs need a good center. I think Gobert is not a great option for the Mavs. There's going to be a lot of conversation. If you were asking me what the Mavericks need to do in terms of free agency or addressing their roster needs, they've got to find a quality big man going into this summer to help provide some kind of defensive presence in the paint. Hopefully a versatile big man that can also help you offensively. There are guys that they can see could help you in that way. I know people have talked about Miles Turner. Hey, 100 people watching. Got to the number there. Look, guys like Miles Turner, Hardleston. I know Rudy Gobert, people don't like necessarily the fact he doesn't bring you much offensively, but at the same time, he does provide you a defensive anchor in the middle. And yes, I know the max contract is something that would scare people away. And what kind of assets would you have to trade in order to get a guy like Rudy Gobert? I get it. I think he still would be a really good fit, though, for the Dallas Mavericks and what they've got going on in terms of their defense. And here's the other point I'll say real quick on that. Unlike the Utah Jazz, the Mavericks have guys that can defend the perimeter, which I think in theory would make things easier on Rudy Gobert to anchor the paint because he's not worrying about guys getting blown by on the perimeter and having to do more work on the defensive end to have to guard guys out on the perimeter. I think that would be much better for him in a situation like that here in Dallas. For Christian Kruger, can Dallas role players stay hot in Phoenix? You sure hope so. You sure hope so going into game number 5 tonight. Again, and that's a key to victory that we talked about. The role players playing the way that they're capable of playing and doing so on the road. We know that guys tend to play better at home when it comes to their play, but at the same time, the defense, the shot making, Davis Bertans, Dinwiddie, all of these guys have to show up. And I think what you're starting to see, and I could be wrong here, but I think the Mavericks are getting more comfortable in this series as this series has gone on about the type of physicality, the emotional and mental maturity needed to compete against a Phoenix Suns team. You're watching this team grow up before your very eyes, and that's impressive to watch given the adversity that they dealt with in games 1 and 2, which you saw in games 3 and 4, and maybe that was a function of them being at home or whatever the case may be. But I think you're watching a team mentally and emotionally grow throughout the course of this series. Can they do it enough to the point where they're able to win 2 more games to defeat the Phoenix Suns? Even if they don't, that bodes well for the future, I think, for this Mavericks team and what you believe that they can be going into next year and beyond based on what happened during the course of this series. From Bert Juarez, Why do I have a feeling that Chris Paul is going to go off? I mean, that's a good feeling to have if you're a Suns fan, or if you're a person watching the series thinking that if Chris Paul gets back to his own building, that he'll have the opportunity to do that. I tend to agree. I think it'll be much better than what you saw in games 3 and 4. How much he goes off and how well the Mavericks are able to contain him will obviously be important. Make sure you're smashing that like button. I see 93 people in here. Make sure you're smashing that like button here on Inside the Mavs Live. Our Mavericks Suns Game 5 preview. Can Luka Doncic the company steal Game 5 on the road? Let's see here. From Thomas, who would possibly be a Brook Lopez type of player for the Mavs next year? That's a great question. We'll obviously see what needs to happen during the course of free agency this year. Maybe they make a trade. A guy like Rashawn Holmes, I think, could be a guy that could really help them as well. A rumored Mavericks target, last offseason. I think he would be a guy that'd be a really good help as well. Let's see here from Q Dog. Yeah, appreciate that, man. Hey, my man's been doing the super chats. Really appreciate you, Q Dog, throwing it in the super chats when you've been able to do so, man. That really helps a lot. Really appreciate that. The Mavs need to keep long players on ball. Yeah, Reggie Bullock is the guy. Reggie Bullock has been the guy who's been defending his tail off in this series. You saw it in Game 3, the unsung hero in Game 3, playing through a rib injury, and the defensive intensity that he brought in Game number 3, I thought was fantastic. So far, one of the best performances in the playoffs when it comes to, the Mavericks and what they've done so far in these playoffs. My man Luka Skywalker, who's a member. Again, you can become a gray area club member for just a few bucks a month, like Luka Skywalker, who's in our YouTube chat room right now. I feel Dallas having more experience than the Pelicans will be able to build on those 2 wins. It's Luka time now. That's a great point. Luka Doncic and his growth and maturity, you want to see that carry over when it comes to dealing with the referees. But overall, collectively as a team, this is a team I think that's growing and learning how to win in tough moments. And you saw that in games 3 and 4, their ability to overcome adversity, but also be in position to help win going forward here. Let's see. From Steve. Kevin, it's the age of the Suns and playing every other day. Oh, you're referring to the age of the Suns and how old they are and playing every other day. That's maybe wearing them down. Look, that's a great point too. Chris Paul at age 37, Reggie Bullock's even talked about this. Look, man, we got to wear them down as much as possible. Obviously, the wear and tear of playing every other day in this series, the deeper and deeper that you get into playoff series, these teams know each other. They know what each other is capable of. They know their defensive and offensive sets. There isn't much when it comes to the way of being surprised. Subtle adjustments can be made. I think for the Phoenix Suns, it's about continuing to stick with what they do offensively and getting back to the kind of executing that they're capable of. And we know how well that they can shoot when it comes to the mid-range game and going into Game 5. Make sure you're smashing that like button. See over 100 people in our Inside the Mavs Live episode. That's really cool to see. Appreciate you joining me here. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you're smashing that like button here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. You can become a member, the Gray Area Club member, for just a few bucks a month. You got a super chat you want to throw in there, a super sticker to show support. Really appreciate that if you do so to support the channel as well. From Romel, is this a motivation for J Kidd to outcoach Monty in terms of winning? I think you may be referring to him winning Coach of the Year. I don't think Jason Kidd needs any extra motivation. I think Jason Kidd has all the motivation that he needs to try and win a playoff series and continue to grow and build. Look, he's already had a tremendous and successful year, and what he's done so far when it comes to the playoffs. From Q Dog, appreciate the super chat, man. $5 super chat really means a lot, man. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Love the content. Love the name Catboy Stephen Jones. That's a specialty of mine. If you listen to me on 105 through the Fan, or you see me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports, always getting after Catboy and Stephen Jones for the Dallas Cowboys. Love the content. Love the name Catboy Jones. Laugh out loud. Mavs in 6. I have a feeling, to me, Kidd is out coaching Phoenix. Oh, wow. Look, I said earlier, I felt like that Jason Kidd outcoached Quinn Snyder in this series. He is holding his own, obviously, with Monty Williams in this series as well. And look, man, if the Mavericks find a way to win Game 5 tonight, you could be really accurate with that statement when it comes to him out coaching Monty Williams. Monty Williams is one of the best coaches in the NBA. Love this. Got 110 people watching now. Continue to smash that like button, get more people in here as we go inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports, getting you ready for Game 5 tonight. Mavericks Suns. Can Luka Doncic come to steal Game 5 on the road to potentially get this thing back to Dallas on Thursday to close it out in game number 6. Jason Kidd has done a phenomenal job. He's made me eat my words. I will have to admit in saying that I thought the hire of Jason Kidd wasn't necessarily the best one for this team. I get it from a nostalgia standpoint. I get it from a coaching standpoint and the familiarity that he had with the Dallas Mavericks, obviously having been drafted by them, winning a championship, playing with Dirk Nowitzki in the front office with the Dallas Mavericks now, and why they would love to bring him on. So it made a lot of sense why they hired him. I didn't necessarily think it was the best one at the time, but it's proven to work out just fine. Winning their first playoff series since 2011, having them within a couple of games of making a surprise run to the Western Conference Finals, that just gives you an idea of what they've got going on with Jason Kidd and how well he has been for this team when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks. Make sure you smash that like button. See 116 people now inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Really appreciate that. Q-Dog, again, appreciate the super chat right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Again, you can become a member, Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month. If you love the content, going to have some members-only content coming up soon, some exclusive interviews, stuff like that. Make sure that you're a member if you want to make sure you get that exclusive content right here on Kevin Gray Sports. From Ali, I believe, from Romel, we can't live and die by the 3 in the best of 3. Need to clamp down on defense. Yeah, that's what you're hoping for. Continue to play the kind of defense that you're capable of based on what this team has done in the last 2 games. If you can and make enough shots, you will give yourself the best opportunity and win in a hostile environment like Phoenix. Got 120 people in here now. I think I saw it all the way up to 122. Make sure you keep smashing that like button, telling people to come on in to join us inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Really appreciate that. Let's see here. Kevin, is 3 minutes left in the game. Suns lead by 6. What would you say to the Mavs in the team huddle? Keep fighting. Keep believing. If you are in that game in clutch time, Suns lead by 6, you've got the best player on the floor. Make a play, be smart, but also defend. This team in Phoenix loves to close and love to close in the final 5 minutes of fourth quarters. They have the best team in the clutch time this year, 33-9 in clutch time this year in the NBA, best mark in the league. But if you're the Mavericks, and I'm telling you that, look, stay in it, stay poised, and you have an opportunity. Just think back to Game 6 in Utah, how you close that game out, what you were able to do down the stretch to ensure you made plays and make more plays at the end. That's what I would say to the Mavericks if they were in that situation. Q-Dog, Phoenix has more talent by far, and the Mavs are doing more than making them work. Let's go Mavs. Yeah, when you have a team that you're facing that has more talent than you, you've got to outwork them. You got to out-hustle them. You have to out-everything them in order to give yourself the best opportunity to be able to handle things out when it comes to all the things that they've got going on going forward in the rest of the series. So if you can, you'll be able to do so when it comes to handling your business in this series here. Let's see here from Bert Juarez. Looking at the offseason, is Goran Dragic and Buddy Hield dream dead? Were they even a good fit for this team? I mean, look, Buddy Hield's a really good three-point shooter. You can always use more shooting when it comes to Goran Dragic. The fact that he wants to play with Luka, I think that still could be a possibility this summer. I don't know how much. He was at one of the games already so far in this series. I think it was game 3 that Goran Dragic was at. So he's got a love and an affinity for Luka Doncic, and I think wants to end his career playing with him. Obviously didn't work out this year. Maybe something could happen this upcoming summer as a small minor move that they can make to bring in Goran Dragic for this team to add additional leadership to this team. And I think that's one. It's interesting you brought that up because I think that's one thing that's going underrated in terms of this conversation for the Mavericks, regardless of what happens in this series. They've won this offseason already because they now have proven to the league not only can they win a first-round series, not only are they going toe-to-toe with the best team in the NBA and possibly winning a series over the best team in the NBA, this is a signal now to the rest of the league and to players who are possibly looking at different situations that they want to try and join, that the Mavericks are a team that can now win a series, and not only win a series, they've got one of the 5 best players in the league. They beat, let's say they go on to beat the Phoenix Suns in this series. there are guys around the league that could look at that situation and guys who they know on this team who are going to speak very highly of this organization about what they can be, and maybe they're the missing piece going forward. So I want you to keep that in mind when it comes to not just the rest of this series, but obviously going forward into the offseason, what the perception of this team now looks like based on what they've done in these playoffs, beating Utah, and if they possibly are able to knock off the Phoenix Suns. The perception around the Mavericks is changing day by day. And a guy like Nico Harrison, who has the kind of relationships among basketball people who we all know has been well documented, he could be in position to really help this team handle their business from a free agency, from a trading perspective, and try and get this team the kind of pieces it needs to be able to have a long championship window possibly open for the future, especially knowing that you got a guy in Luka Doncic doing his thing. Let's see here. Appreciate Inside the Mavs live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. We're going to go for just a few more minutes here as we get you ready for Game 5. Keep smashing that like button here. Appreciate everyone who's dropped in so far in our Mavs YouTube chat room. We've had Locked On Mavs hopping in here. Appreciate you dropping a super chat. If you got a question, we'll get that answer for you, like Q-Dog had a comment, was able to answer his super chat. You can also become a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month. Really appreciate you if you decide to do that and support the channel and providing that opportunity to be able to be a part of the Gray Area Club here on Kevin Gray Sports. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports as well. Let's see here. I have a feeling this game is the Supernova. Luka, we are waiting for the Mavs. Made a good job of spreading the floor now that the Suns will be obligated to be attached to the Mavs shooters. Yeah. I like that. This could be that game, right? Luka Doncic, who is the first 2 games of the series, averaged 40 points a game. Other guys have come with him. He's participated on the defensive end like how Jason Kidd has asked him to, and more importantly, he's been capable of doing. This could be that game if you're looking for something to hang on to tonight going into Game 5, that he could possibly go off the way that you want Luka Doncic to in order to do it. From Patrick. Hey, it's Patrick from Sweden, man. The Raccoon Squad. Hey, appreciate you joining me, man. Patrick, lifelong Mavericks fan. If you know anything about the Mavs community, Patrick is that dude. Loves his Mavs basketball. Patrick, appreciate you joining us here in our Mavs YouTube chat room. Again, if you want to drop in a super chat, you're more than welcome to. You got a question, got a comment that you want me to read, get up to the top. Make sure you drop a super chat in there, and you can become a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month. From Matthew Wells, my guy Matthew. Do you think the incident with Chris Paul's family is going to light a fire in him? Some guys you don't want to give any source of extra motivation to. It's very possible. You never want to see that kind of an incident happen with any player, whether it be on the opposing team or on your own team. I'm sure some of that will be in the back of Chris Paul's mind. He's a professional. He'll try to block that out as much as he can. He'll be back at home, obviously, in front of his home fans. I think that will serve as some motivation, though, to potentially help him get back on track. I mean, anything that you can use to fuel yourself at this point in the playoffs could be used as motivation. Let's see, from Radical 350. Would you sign a Russell Westbrook, James Harden, John Wall if they opt out and want to join the Mavs? Russell Westbrook, no. John Wall, no. James Harden, probably not. I mean, he had his best game of the postseason and in Philadelphia's last win, which they needed him. But no, I'm pretty much staying away from those guys. I want to keep that financial flexibility. Plus, I need a big man. That's who I need. If I'm the Mavericks, I need a big man. From David Gomez, if we sign Brunson, who could the Mavs possibly lose due to the cap? Well, here's the thing. They have, Jalen Brunson's bird rights, so they're good. The thing is, if you don't sign him, it's not like you have that extra $20-25 million in cap space to go use. So you pretty much have to sign him in order to maintain your financial flexibility. But based on your cap, no, you'll be fine. I mean, now the Mavericks will be in a luxury tax, which is something they haven't been in. Because remember, Luka Doncic's rookie max extension kicks in, at the beginning of this upcoming season. But that's the biggest reason why you want to sign Jalen Brunson, is that if you lose him, it's not like you get cap space freed up to be able to spend on someone else. It just doesn't. You don't have that space. So I do think Jalen Brunson will be back as a Dallas Maverick. Really appreciate that. Hey, Radical 350, appreciate the super sticker, man. Appreciate that. Got the the number one foam finger jumping up there. Really appreciate that. Jumping here on our Mavs YouTube chat room right here on Kevin Gray Sports. It's Inside the Mavs. I've got 125 people watching. Make sure you smash that like button. Hit that like button. Really appreciate you doing that when it comes to our chat room here Inside the Mavs Live. We're going to go for about 15 more minutes here on our Inside the Mavs Live. Give me your predictions. I'm ready for predictions now. Give me your predictions. Who do you think is going to win? If you got a super chat you want me to read to make sure we get your prediction read, throw that in there. I'll read that. Make sure we get that in going in for tonight's game. From Black Sunday, they think Suns in 6, which means they're thinking that the Suns win tonight and then they win and close out game 6 in Dallas on Thursday. I don't know about that. After what happened in games 3 and 4, the Mavericks look like a team that's ready to continue to protect home court and handle their business when it comes to playing at home during the course of this postseason. Big Tank 9401. What's the word on Miles Turner this offseason? I heard the Mavs are still interested. You know, things didn't necessarily play out at the trade deadline. He was dealing with a foot injury. I think a lot of teams shied away from him because he was dealing with the injury. How his market looks going into the summer as a possible trade possibility will remain to be seen. Obviously, wanted to make sure he's healthy before engaging in any kind of talks, you know, with him to see if they would be willing to be interested in him. His market this offseason will be interesting. The direction that the Pacers go in will be interesting as well. We've heard small rumors that they may be interested in a guy like Jalen Brunson, obviously with the familiarity of Rick Carlisle and Jalen Brunson. Bryant, fitness instructor, Mavs in 6. Old man Paul is done. So we got a prediction that the Mavs get it done tonight. Then they get it done on Thursday in game 6 from K Hardy. Nah, Mavs got this tonight. Getting the barbecue ready now. A lot of people, I love the confidence. Mavericks fans feeling like they can get this thing done tonight and then going forward into game 6. I love it. And honestly, they haven't given you a reason to not feel that way based on the way they played the last 2 games. Again, they cannot come out in this game being overwhelmed by what the Suns are going to do to them because they're going to try and blitz them early on when it comes to early on in this game. Let's see, from JUSYBE, just B. Dallas wins tonight by 3 or 4 points. Series over in 6. Dallas wins. From Bert Juarez, Suns win 115-114 in overtime. This will be Phoenix's last stand. I like the thought there that Phoenix will stand up one more time at home. But remember, 7-game series. Game 7 would be back in Phoenix, you know, later on this week. So we'll see how that goes. From David Gomez, Mavs 122, Suns 101, Luka Doncic with 32, Spencer Dinwiddie with 22. I love the specifics of the score and what Luka Doncic and Spencer Dinwiddie would do in the game. Really love that. Patrick, my man Patrick from Sweden, winner of game 5 in a 2-2 series, wins 82% of the time. That is 100% fact. The winner of tonight's game most likely will win this series. That is why, obviously, if they can steal game 5, that bodes well for the Mavericks and what they've got going coming back home for game 6 on Thursday. Let's see. From L Maverick here, sticking to my original prediction, Suns and the Mavs protect home court to force a game 7, and I think we will steal the last one. Also, you're thinking protect home court for the Suns in game 5, Mavs do so in game 6, and then the Mavericks find a way to win a game on the road. Again, somebody's got to win a road game in this series, and the Phoenix Suns will have to do so when it comes to that. Q-Dog, another new member to the Gray Area Club. Q-Dog, my man, appreciate that. You can become a Gray Area Club member just like Q-Dog, just like Luka Skywalker, Cowboy, and others who have joined the Gray Area Club for just a few bucks a month. Really appreciate that. Get exclusive content when you're a Gray Area Club member. Q-Dog, appreciate you joining me here. You could join Q-Dog just like the others have done as well for just a few bucks a month here and become a member right here on Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Or you can just subscribe. That really helps as well. Throw in a super chat, super sticker, Q-Dog. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the Gray Area Club. Let's see, Q-Dog had a question as well. Let's see, Miles Turner. What would a trade look like for him? That would be a perfect fit. It's for sure an issue in the playoffs as you get deeper. Yeah, he's a guy, look, man, can shoot the ball from the three-point line, terrific shot blocker, got a lot of versatility. You're going to have to give up significant assets to get a guy like Miles Turner. He's still young. Yes, I know he's dealt with some injury throughout the course of his career, but a guy that still is an extremely productive player and can do a lot of different things on the floor when it comes to your defensive responsibilities and also on the offensive end. First round pick at minimum. Tim Hardaway, Spencer Dinwiddie, names like that can help make up the salary, because you're going to have to pay him too. You're eventually going to have to pay him as well if you bring him over in a trade from the Indiana Pacers. So make sure you're smashing that like button. Continue to smash that like button. Really appreciate you doing that here, letting people know about the video and getting people in here to the chat room right now as well. For Big Take 940, Spencer's overdue for a breakout game. I agree with you. Q Dog, I'm in the gray area club. Let's go. Appreciate that. Luka Skywalker 77 is also part of the gray area club. Let's get ahead of ourselves here. If we win this series, whoa, Luka Skywalker. Let's pump the brakes. My man says, let's get ahead of ourselves. If we win this series, we're beating the Warriors in 6. It's funny you say that, because I felt more comfortable with the Mavericks taking on the Golden State Warriors in the second round than I did them taking on the Phoenix Suns. I felt a lot more confident about their chances against them than I did against the Suns. So it's funny that you say that, because I do think the Mavericks will feel very confident going into their series against the Golden State Warriors if they get there. Again, make sure you smash that like button. Inside the Mavs Live right here on Kevin Gray Sports. Really appreciate that. Mavericks Suns Game 5 preview. Can Luka Doncic come to steal Game 5 on the road? For Frosty Nugs, in another universe, who is the best 2 for Luka? Oh boy, who is the best 2 for Luka in another universe? Nikola Jokic. That's the dude. Nikola Jokic does literally everything. If Nikola Jokic is a part of the Dallas Mavericks and he is teamed up with Luka in another universe, in the multiverse of madness, Luka Doncic would be that guy for me. That's my pick. Steve Lee, first time here, earned a sub for me. Hey, appreciate that, Steve. That means a lot, man. Thank you so much for subscribing to Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. That means a lot. You can catch my work on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports. Of course, I'm on your home of the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers, 105 through the fan. Mavericks Insider for 105 through the fan. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Got all your insights, all your insides, videos, and all those things that you want. Really appreciate that, Steve. That means a lot that you would say that, and appreciate you joining me here on Kevin Gray Sports and the journey that we're on together. Christopher Jones, do you think we are better off trading a high draft pick to get a lower price, high quality big man than using free agency? If you're willing to give up significant assets, multiple first round picks, that's going to get you a quality big man. And maybe you could look at that, but I would want to protect as much of those assets as possible as you can to try and get yourself in position. If it's not for a premium center or a premium big man, I'm not giving up significant assets in order to make that happen. Michael Flores, yeah, the Mavs are 6-2 against those two teams. Yeah, we're talking about the Golden State Warriors, and I believe you're talking about the Golden State Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies. Yeah, the Mavericks took 3 out of 4 this season against the Golden State Warriors, snapped a long winning streak of Memphis earlier this year. They would not be afraid of any of those two teams if they took them on in the Western Conference Finals. From Steve, need Brunson and Spencer to stay aggressive in order to win. 100% agree with that, especially Spencer Dinwiddie. You saw that in game number 4 with his terrific second quarter that he had. 10 points, 8 straight points at one point in that second quarter. For Bert Juarez, if Mavs win, we are beating the Suns and maybe make it competitive against the Bucks and the Celtics. I like their chances against the Celtics, actually, if they make it to the NBA Finals. Again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Got to handle business, obviously, in this series. But I like their chances against the Celtics. Heck, I like their chances against the Bucks as well. Like the Mavericks. Here, we'll end on this here in just a moment. The Mavericks aren't afraid of anybody. They are not afraid of any of these teams left in this postseason. They're not afraid to take on any of these teams anytime, anywhere. When they've got a guy in Luka Doncic who is the best player on the floor in most cases in a series, you could take your chances on what he's doing. And guess what? He is continuing to be healthy throughout the course of the playoffs. Is coming back from the calf injury. Last couple comments here. Let's see. Big Tank 940. One thing I've noticed the Mavs do right is attacking the paint in the basket. I don't like when they settle for threes on 10 straight possessions. Yeah, Jason Kidd, perfect there. Loves to attack the paint. Good things happen for them when they attack the paint. They say that all season long and have done so all season long as well. For Bert Juarez in 6. K. Hardy, I really want to see a Mavs Celtics finals, NBA finals. That'd be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun to see the Mavericks and the Celtics in the NBA finals. Again, Last call, make sure you're smashing that like button here on Inside the Mavs Live. Appreciate everyone joining in our chat room who have subscribed, become Gray Area Club members, new subscribers to my channel here at Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. Really appreciate that. Let's see. Michael Flores, Mr. Gray, is Boban washed on this team? No, look, man. Boban is a spot dude, man. Boban can give you certain things at certain points in the game. Unfortunately, in most series like this, you're not going to see Boban, unfortunately. You can play him in spurts at times, but not necessarily going to give you a whole lot when it comes to what he's got going on the floor. Let's see here. Brian Power, seems Luka is taking a break when he settles for those quick threes. We need to give those to Brunson. Well, he doesn't need to be taking breaks when taking, step back 3-pointers because those are difficult shots. So, what you want him to do is conserve energy when he has the opportunities to. And the way that you could do that is take him off the ball. Let Jalen Brunson bring the ball up the floor to be able to handle things from a point guard and a playmaking perspective at times when it comes to this offense. If that's the case, things can be a little bit more settled down when it comes to Luka Doncic and getting him some rest. Spoon Production, release the Boban. Michael Flores, heartbroken for Boban. Look, Boban, don't feel sorry for Boban. Bobby is doing his thing. He's being the team's laughter. He's being that dude. Don't worry about Boban. He's doing just fine. Trust me. He's doing just fine. Last little bit here. Q-Dog. I think Brunson unlocked his offense by going to the paint. We need to have Luka, Jalen Dinwiddie drive. 100% agree there going forward. Steve Bankston got to get it done in 6 because there's an extra day between games 6 and 7. Agree with you there. All right. My prediction tonight, look. Oh, man, this is tough. This is really tough. I'm going to stick with the Mavs, not because I'm wearing the Mavs shirt. I really got a funny feeling about how this thing is working out, man. I know Chris Paul is 0 for a lifetime when it comes to being up, 2-0 in a series. There's something special going on with this Mavericks team. If they win tonight, all bets are off going into game 6. Even if they don't win, I still think they push this team to 7 games. So we'll see. I'm going to take the Mavericks, though. I'm going to take them in a close one, 108-104. I'm going to take the Mavs. I'm probably going to be wrong on that, but I'm going to put my confidence and trust in a team that I think has started to figure some things out. I'm going to go 108-104 Dallas tonight to see if they can get a win in game 5. And if they do, we're coming back to Dallas up 3-2, having a chance to close it out in 6. I think it's going to be fun. Ryan C. ESPN reported the Mavs assigned Dirk Nowitzki for the remainder of the playoffs. To do what? Dirk ain't playing nothing. So I know you're joking, obviously. Dirk, even if Dirk was available, no, that's not a thing. Let's see here. Jackie Flash. Appreciate it, Big Kev Fire, as always. Let's go, Mavs. It's real now. I know the Suns feeling that too late. They already talked there. Blank, we're coming for those receipts. I feel the energy. Love the energy. We'll see. Big Tank, MFFL, Ryan C. Dirk dropping 50 tonight, one-legged fadeaways. Look, Dirk ain't even got the one leg to be doing one-legged fadeaways no more. And I love Dirk. Dirk, humble superstar. I love Dirk. Dirk ain't even got that in him. But I appreciate the sentiment there. Same, agreeing with the prediction there. Like I said, it's going to be closer. I'm going to take the Mavs 108-104 to win game 5 and to bring this thing back to Dallas with an opportunity to close out in 6 again. I'm going to go out on the limb. I'm going to stick and ride with the confidence of these Mavericks to see if they can do it. I hope they prove me right. I hope they play the kind of defense that they've played in the last couple of games, but more importantly, dudes come with him in terms of coming with Luka Doncic to be able to have the kind of offense that they need to. Give me your final predictions before we get out of here. Rail Gibson, Mavs 99, Suns 91. Spoon Production, I want to see that Luka dunk. I appreciate it from Dolan CD. Yeah, I hope you're right, Kev. I like our chances. Hey, I'm going to put my confidence and faith and trust in a team that I think has figured some things out, and they understand the moment. To me, that's the biggest thing. They understand the moment and what it takes to win these kinds of games, and we're seeing them grow before our eyes. Will that come to fruition tonight? We'll see. I hope they don't get run out of the building, but at the same time, I think they'll make this game competitive. Let's hope that happens and hope that they do so. Last one here. Michael Flores, I'm but one last run for Dirk. Dirk can cheer. Yeah, Dirk can do all the cheering that he wants to. Dirk gonna be in the, cheering for his squad, doing what he does. But yeah, Dirk, that ain't no more seeing Dirk on the floor. Hey, from Nolan City, Suns win tonight, Mavs in 7. I like that prediction. Look, it's a very safe, very understandable prediction. I'm gonna tend to live on the wild side a little bit and say the Mavericks get it done tonight in game number 5. But I like where you're going. Suns win tonight, Mavs in 7. Again, somebody's got to win a road game. Somebody has to. I know that the Phoenix Suns don't necessarily have to. All they do is protect home court. But I do think somebody's got to win a road game to win this series. Again, I know the Phoenix got game 5 in their own building, game 7 in their own building. They don't have to win a road game. But at the same time, I think somebody has to in order to win the series. We will see. Hey, really appreciate you joining me here on this episode of Inside the Mavs Live. I got to get out of here. I appreciate all the time, all the love, all the super chats, all the great new gray area club members. Really appreciate that. Make sure you smash that like button before you get out of here. Inside the Mavs Live, Mavericks Suns Game 5 preview. I'm taking the Mavericks 108-104 in Game 5 tonight. Game 6 will be on Thursday at the American Airlines Center. Will the Mavericks find a way to be able to win Game 5 and then get things back to Game 6 at home on Thursday with an opportunity to close this out? Again, my name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Make sure you smash that like button on the way out. Really appreciate it. You become a Gray Area Club member for just a few bucks a month, and really appreciate that. Let's go Mavs. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you. I'll have my game recap video posted as soon as the game is over with, so make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. And make sure that you hit that notifications button so you know when the videos drop. And I'll have my game recap video once the game is over with and once all press is done there. So really appreciate you joining me here on this episode of Inside the Mavs Live. I'll talk to you later.